Nobody in the stadium realized what was about to happen. Not yet. Not in those first quiet seconds before the pitch. But there was something in the air. Thick, electric, humming with a tension that only comes around once in a generation. A silence before a moment that would echo through baseball history. The crowd shifted, restless but hopeful. Every fan knew the numbers. 40 home runs, 39 stolen bases, one swing or one sprint away from immortality. But nobody dared to speak it aloud. Not yet. The pitcher exhaled slowly as if he, too, could sense destiny approaching. Every movement felt heavier, slower, like the universe was holding its breath. And then it happened. An instant so explosive that it didn't feel real. The crack of the bat wasn't just a sound. It was a shockwave, a thunderclap, a moment that sliced through every voice, every heartbeat, every doubt. The ball rocketed off his bat as if it had somewhere urgent to be. It climbed into the sky, higher and higher, cutting against the lights like a meteor in reverse. The outfielders didn't chase it. They only turned and watched. The crowd erupted before the ball even landed. Home run number 40. A milestone reached with a swing so violent, so pure, that the stadium shook beneath the weight of its significance. Fans screamed his name. Teammates pounded the railing. Even the broadcaster's voice cracked with disbelief. But the night wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. Because this wasn't just about power. It was about speed, about courage, about a kind of athletic insanity that only a few chosen players have ever possessed. When he stepped onto first base later in the game, everyone knew what was coming. The dugout leaned forward. The crowd rose instinctively. The cameras zoomed in like predators locked onto prey. 40 steals. It sounded impossible, but he made impossible look routine. The pitcher knew he couldn't afford a mistake. He threw over once, twice, a third time. Nothing worked. The runner stood there, calm and coiled, like a sprinter waiting for a gunshot. And then, without warning, he went. A blur of motion, a streak of light, a heartbeat stretched into eternity. His first step was a lightning bolt. His second, a command. His third, a declaration of destiny. The catcher received the pitch and unleashed a desperate throw. Fast, sharp, perfectly aligned. But it didn't matter. Nothing could stop what was already written in the moment he took off. He slid into second with a dust cloud exploding behind him, arms spread, cleats slicing the dirt. Safe. 40 stolen bases. The stadium didn't simply cheer. It roared like a living creature waking from a century of sleep. Fans jumped in their seats, hugging strangers, screaming until their throats burned. It wasn't just history. It was magic. He stood on second base, chest heaving, eyes fierce, knowing exactly what he had accomplished. Few players in the entire history of baseball had ever reached the 40-40 mark. Even fewer had done it with this kind of swagger, this kind of complete domination of every part of the game. Teammates poured out of the dugout, pointing toward him, clapping, shouting his name. The cameras flashed like fireworks exploding in rapid succession. The opposing shortstop stepped aside and gave him a nod, a small but powerful gesture of respect. Even rivals couldn't deny greatness when it unfolded right in front of them. The announcer's voice boomed through the speakers, shaking the walls, announcing what everyone already knew. They had just witnessed an achievement carved into the core of baseball history. As the inning paused to honor the moment, the crowd chanted louder and louder, the sound swelling until it felt like the stadium might lift into the air. Kids held up homemade signs. Adults wiped tears from their eyes. This wasn't just a milestone. This was a moment of clarity. Proof that greatness doesn't visit often, and when it does, you never forget the feeling. Cameras replayed the home run again and again, each slow-motion angle capturing the raw force, the perfect mechanics, the explosion of power that sent the ball into orbit. And then the steal, the burst, the slide, the dust, the triumph, every frame replayed like a scene from a movie you never want to end. When he finally walked off the field at the end of the game, the applause didn't fade. It followed him, surrounded him, wrapped around him like a crown made of pure sound. He didn't raise both arms. He didn't soak in the moment with arrogance. He simply tipped his cap, a humble acknowledgement of the love, the respect, the awe he had just earned. Because legends don't need to scream. They just perform. And on this night, this unforgettable, electrifying, once-in-a-lifetime night, he didn't just perform. He soared. The 40-40 season wasn't a statistic anymore. It wasn't a number. It wasn't a line on a scoreboard. It was a story, a feeling, a moment that made every fan believe that sometimes, when the stars align and the stage is perfect, a player can rise above the sport itself. And remind us why we watch baseball in the first place. To witness the impossible, and watch it become real.